Hey everyone. I know, I disappeared again. I'm really trying to stop doing that. But today I'm painting these clown shoes, the horror kind of clowns. I was just showing some of the paints I'm using for the first one, which is Captain Spaulding from House of a Thousand Corpses and The Devil's Rejects, and most recently Three from Hell. If you don't know, he was played by an actor called Sid Haig, and unfortunately, he recently passed away. A lot of people were upset because he wasn't really in the last movie, which was Three from Hell. But after he passed, Rob Zombie had announced that it was basically because they both knew that he was ill, and it was difficult for him to even play the small part that he did. And they were glad that he got to at least be in the final film of that series. But I loved his character, Captain Spaulding, and I've done artwork of him before. So this time I was trying to figure out what I wanted to paint on these shoes that I got, and I decided to just go with two different clowns. I was trying to decide if I wanted to do like two characters from the same movie, and then I just decided I'd rather like pick a theme to go with. So this is what I ended up doing. So it's going to be Captain Spaulding and Pennywise. I'm painting with acrylic paints, which I showed like some of the colors I'm using for this portrait at least. I showed those in the beginning. So the shoes that I'm painting on are from Michael's, the art store. They were on sale for like $5. I got several pairs of them. Now I plan to be opening an Etsy shop hopefully within like this week or next week, but I didn't plan on selling the shoes. Like first of all, I plan on wearing these. Like I like them, but more importantly, I don't really feel good about selling like $5 shoes. Like if I were going to sell painted shoes, I kind of want to wait till I could afford like some Vans or some like actual quality shoes before I sell them to other people. I mean, I don't know exactly how comfortable they are. I haven't worn them that much, and in some of the reviews it said that there's dye inside of the shoes, like there's stripes in there, and I guess if you wear white socks, there was people complaining that it rubs off and stains your socks and stuff. So I'm not entirely sure about like the great quality of these, but for my purposes, I just wanted to be able to paint some shoes, and like maybe later I can get like good ones that I can work on. But I learned pretty much right after I started painting on these that I kind of made a mistake because I really should have put down a layer of like a primer or gesso or something first, because these are essentially like raw canvas. Like if you buy canvases at the store, usually they come pre-gessoed or whatever, so they're a lot smoother and easier to paint on. Like the paint kind of spreads out nicely. Yeah, that's not like that in this case because they are just canvas. So I had to use like a lot of paint and a lot of like water and stuff to get the paints to spread around, which ended up taking a lot longer than it really needed to. Like if I had just put some sort of primer down, the whole process probably would have gone a lot quicker. But I had to keep layering up paint to make sure I got like a good coat on there and stuff, because the shoes were just really absorbing everything I put down. So in the future, if I go to paint the other ones that I have, I'm definitely going to put something down first, whether it's just a coat of like white paint or gesso or whatever. But in this case, I had already drawn out the sketches, which took a while. I had to draw both of them probably multiple times because not only is it tricky to just draw portraits and get everything right, but I was drawing onto like this squishy curved surface, which didn't really make it easier. So I was trying to make sure that they were kind of centered and that I didn't like cut the chin off at the bottom or something. And that took a couple tries. So after all that, I wasn't really gonna paint over it and then try and redraw it. I was just like, well, it's fine for now. We learn from this, and next time we'll do it different. Which I guess I should mention also, like, I know that this is a pretty long video and it's two parts. I couldn't really help that. It ended up after I was done recording and everything, I had like a 15-hour video between painting two portraits and then painting the rest of the shoes and the other details and stuff. it was just super, super long. It took a while. Um, I didn't do it all in one day. It took me like, I don't know, I took breaks in between working on it anyway. But so by the time I edited the parts out that I didn't need and I sped up the video, I was still left with like almost an hour of video. It's like 50 minutes, I think. So I didn't really know what to do with it at that point. I was trying to decide. I ended up just splitting it into 2 parts, so at least it's a little more manageable. I didn't want to just speed it up even more because I wanted people to be able to at least see what I'm doing and not just have like some blur of like hands and paint going around. I feel like you can only speed it up so much. And so this is what we're left with after everything. It's just still kind of 2 longish videos. And I also have it so in this part 1, I'm working on this portrait, and part 2 I'm doing the other portrait, but I'm also like finishing some of the other work on both of the shoes. I probably would have like maybe split it up different, like have one shoe in one video and the other one in the next video if I had planned ahead, but I didn't. By the time I figured out this video was going to be terribly long, I had already been editing for like 2 days, and there was really no way for me to reformat everything that I was doing without just like deleting it and starting over. For some reason, this program doesn't allow you to just like move clips over to a new project, really. Like, you kind of just, once you've edited it, that's just kind of, you're stuck with it, or you can start over. And I was not going to start over, so we're just left with kind of 2 long videos now, so sorry for that. If you end up watching them both, thank you so much for actually sitting through them. In case you're wondering where I've been, I think the main answer is I was mostly just lazy. I actually have a few other videos that I've already recorded and everything, but I haven't edited and posted yet. I'm trying to work on that now. Obviously, I'm putting up this one first, and then hopefully the other ones will be up soon. But besides being lazy, I was sick for a couple weeks, and then my dog was sick. I have 2 dogs, and one of them is like 13 years old, and she got sick on Christmas Eve, or the night before Christmas Eve. So one minute she seemed fine, like everything seemed normal, and then she all of a sudden, she couldn't stand up. She kept like falling over, and then she started throwing up all over the place, mostly all over the bed, but that's okay. But so at first I just thought like she sometimes has trouble getting up because she does have arthritis in her back legs, and I thought, oh, maybe it's just like that, and she's also ate something bad or something. But then I realized it seemed more serious than that, and then I noticed that her eyes were actually wobbling back and forth, like she couldn't control them. They were just kind of jiggling in her head, and so I realized that's probably what's going on, and it could be like a serious issue. So when we got up the next day, we went to bed because it was already like the middle of the night, and she still wasn't better. She couldn't get up, she couldn't do anything, she wouldn't eat or drink. So we took her to the emergency vet. We had to carry her. She's a German Shepherd Rottweiler, so she weighs like 80 pounds or something. So she's not like very easy to move around, especially when she's just kind of floppity or like not really able to do anything. So we had to carry her out to the car and get her to the vet, and they ended up saying that she had vestibular disease. So I guess that's just like a thing that can happen in older dogs where their eyes just start moving back and forth and they don't have control over it. And it can either go away on its own in a few days, or it can never go away. It can be like a more serious like symptom of something like a tumor or some other problem that they can have. So really we just got medication, like they gave her fluids, and we got medication to help her dizziness and motion sickness that she was clearly having, because I imagine if your eyes are just moving all over the place, it's probably like being super drunk, or you have no coordination, you feel sick, like. So we just tried to make her comfortable, and we're just like hoping that it would get better. Otherwise, we're gonna have to maybe go back to a vet and see or whatever. But it ended up that like after a few days of medicine and she still couldn't really get up or walk. We'd have to like pick her up and move her around, and she couldn't get to her water or anything. She didn't want to eat anything, but I had to like bring her water and help her drink every couple hours or whatever. But after a few days, her eyes stopped moving. They slowly started like stabilizing. So that was good. Like, I was so happy that she was actually getting better, and like it didn't seem like it was going to be a permanent thing. So she was mostly, well, at least that part was better after a few days, but it took her actually like a few weeks before she had any of her coordination and stuff back. She was still very shaky and very wobbly and couldn't really stand or walk too much, especially without help, and especially because we have stairs in the house. So like every time if she wanted to get up, I'd have to like help her up the stairs or down the stairs, or else she might, I didn't want her to fall, so I'd have to like kind of support her back end all the time. If she wanted to go anywhere, I just was following her around the house, like holding her butt basically. um just to make sure that she was okay, and we'd have to like bring her food and water to make sure she was getting that, because she wouldn't always want to get up to get it, which is understandable. So yeah, so that was a long like few weeks of that, and I didn't want to leave the house or anything, especially if no one else was home, because I didn't want her to be by herself and like risk falling over or something. So yeah, I was kind of busy with that for several weeks. Fortunately though, she's all better now. Like all of her symptoms have gone, and she still has the arthritis obviously that she had before, but that's okay. Like we managed that with like other medicine and stuff, but the worst of it is all over with, and I'm so glad that she was better after all that. I was really worried about her. Now that I'm watching this video, I feel like maybe I could have sped it up a little bit more. It's hard to tell though, because I can't actually see it while I'm working on it. Like if I speed it up to those speeds, I have to render the whole video to get it to play, and that took about 5 hours for each part of the video for the first and second parts. I don't really want to do that more than once. I have to just leave it forever to render and then kind of see what it looks like after that. I feel like a solution would be to not make like 15-hour videos to begin with, but I paint slow, and especially with portraits. I'm not really that experienced. Like I always hated portraits up until recently, and then I decided I like doing like horror type ones. Still not, I don't know how I feel about just like regular portraits. They're a little maybe not for me, but in any case, like I completely avoided portraits for like years and years, and only in like the last couple years I actually started trying to do them, and I still haven't done that many, so it takes a little while to actually get them done. But I'm still slow at like other stuff too. I'm just slower at portraits, I think. I just need to speed things up in general, I suppose. The other videos that I'm working on editing was I made a Krusty the Clown dress, and I didn't really plan to just make clowns a whole bunch on purpose. Like I didn't set out with a goal of like only making clown themed things. It just sort of turned out that way. But I just found this like Krusty the Clown t-shirt, and they only had it in like super large sizes, and I had the brilliant idea of what if I make a dress, and then I did. So I'm gonna edit that video. I still need to alter the dress. It turned out too long, so I need to hem it, like sort of. I need to shorten it by kind of cutting out part of the middle, because I added stuff to the bottom. So I need to do that quick and then finish the video so I can actually show what the dress looks like completed. It's mostly done except for that it's just kind of too long. It looks like a nightgown. So after I fix that, I'll have that video. And I also have a video of me doing a tattoo, which I'll explain later in that video. Then I plan to go back to painting for a while. I have like a few paintings that I planned that I need to work on and film. And like I said, I was going to be opening an Etsy, so I'm going to be selling some of the paintings that I've already done. I don't have that many. I need to work on more. A lot of my paintings that I do, I've either like they were for people who like commissioned me to do them, so or they were gifts for people, but either way, I don't have the paintings. Other people already have them, so obviously I can't sell that. I need to work on paintings that I can actually put up for sale. Um, I really want to wear these shoes also so that I can see how they are, like how comfortable they are, and if they actually last or kind of start falling apart. But right now there's just been snow on the ground all the time, and I don't really want to wear like, well, I don't really want to wear gym shoes in the snow anyway, but also like painted ones. I mean, I did end up coating them with like a sealant so that the paint will hopefully last and not be ruined or anything. But, you know, they're still probably not meant to get all wet and soggy and dirty in the snow. That's still probably not ideal. I am finally almost done with this portrait at least. It took me quite a while. I really hate painting hair. Fortunately, I mean, he's bald, but he does still have like the beard and stuff, so that was kind of annoying. It's just because there's no way to really cheat it. You kind of have to paint like a bunch of tiny hairs, like other if you want it to look realistic at least. Obviously, there are other styles where it's different, but if you're aiming for some sort of realism, there's not really a good way to just cheat doing many individual hairs. The other portrait, obviously, like he has hair, and I was just like avoiding it for a while. Like I was like, I really don't want to have to do it. But you know, you can't just kind of leave them bald if they're not bald. That would be weird. But there's many ways that people can paint portraits and stuff, but when I do it, I kind of like to focus on like one area at a time and then go on to a different area, like do the eyes and then do like around the eyes and then do like the nose or whatever. Other people kind of go into a bunch of areas at once, but I kind of just to like to have them separate, but then I'll kind of go back after I've done more of it to add like highlights or shadows or stuff, or just change maybe the colors or the shapes a little. If it starts like once you get more done, you can notice what you need to add, so you can always go back and just touch it up more after you work on it more. Also, I'm sorry you have to listen to my rambling for such long videos. Like, ideally, I would just talk for a little while and then slap some music over it or something, but we all know with like the current state of things, like I can't use any decent music without getting copyright claimed, which at the moment doesn't matter. Like my videos aren't monetized or anything, but I'm just in case one day they are, like I was trying to only use like acceptable music, but then you're left with a lot of garbage. I might end up having to put some music in for part 2 of this because it's even longer than this part, and I just I don't know what I'm going to talk about, honestly. So for the sides of the shoes, I'm just doing these little things that are related to each movie individually. So like this side, I have the fried chicken and gasoline because if you've seen the movies, that's the place that Captain Spaulding runs. It's a fried chicken and gasoline shop, and they also have the Museum of Monsters and Madmen, which I put like a sign for on the other side of the shoe. So it's kind of like a oddities like display thing, along with there's a place for fried chicken and gas. It's an interesting concept, I suppose. But I wanted to include something to put on the sides that went along with the movies. And then I did this writing on the bottoms, which is something that I did on my actual paintings. I ended up writing phrases from the movies along the edges of the canvas because it seemed more interesting than just like painting them a solid color or leaving them plain. So I started putting phrases, and so I decided I would do that along the bottoms of the shoes here. This one, "Don't you like clowns?" is a quote that he says in the movie, by the way. I'm just doing the little sign here on this side, which I had some trouble painting over the black after I painted it black. It wasn't really showing up very well. I had to go over it a couple times. And with like there's like a yellow part that I'm going to do. I had to put white down first because it's really hard to just put like yellow over black. It doesn't really want to cooperate ever. So it's just something to consider, I guess, if you're doing something that's like larger where it matters more. For this, it doesn't really matter too much. But yeah, I'm pretty much done with this part. Like I said, I finished the rest in part 2. So, if you've watched this far, I know it was long, but thank you for watching. And hopefully I catch you over in part 2. Okay, bye.